Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast, Nerd Shit. This is your boy Key, back again with the boy ShootingStar Sheriff for episode 7, which is crazy. We got 7 episodes out right now. 7, the lucky number. um, Hopefully, this is a lucky episode that'll get some of the things we're going to talk about changed and fixed within the community, I guess. So. Today we're talking about COPPA. If you don't know what COPPA is, we're going to get all up into that. And then we're also talking about the Google Stadia and its launch. Google Stadia just launched on the 19th. And there's some controversy behind it. So we just want to kind of come in here and talk about that. But if you are new to the podcast, if you're new to Nerd Shit, we basically, we're a monthly podcast. Sometimes we drop two podcasts a month, but the general, we drop one a month. We talk about everything encompassing nerd culture, and that's anime, movies, video games, tech, books, all of that. All of that. We talk about it here on the podcast. So yeah, let's get into this. COPPA. Now, let me look up what COPPA actually stands for real quick. It's some Child Protection Act. Do you know that the actual name for it, COPPA?
Yeah, it stands for the children's children, or it's children or child. It's Child Online Protection Privacy Act.
Okay, cool. So the FTC. So basically, the situation, right, on YouTube. YouTube claimed for years that if you're under 13, you cannot access YouTube. You can't watch videos on YouTube. So that kind of basically allowed YouTube to do what it wanted to do, and allowed the FTC to leave YouTube alone. But obviously, everybody knows that's a lie. Little kids watch YouTube, whether they're watching it on their parents' devices or their own devices or whatever, right? So that happened, and basically YouTube does targeted ads to people. So basically, like if you look up something, you'll see it. You'll see it in the ads and stuff like that, and that's basically what it is. So the FTC came back and said, "Yo, YouTube, you were lying to us," and they sued YouTube, and YouTube had to pay $176 million for a settlement. So obviously, COPPA was kind of going for more than that. But anyway, they had a settlement, and basically YouTube is switching up. It's switching things up on creators, right? So basically, you have to market videos as for kids or as not for kids. And if you market for kids, right, you will no longer get any more ads because basically the FTC doesn't want targeted ads towards little kids, right? You no longer get comments. You basically lose everything you get if you market not for kids, which and that's kind of the gray area, because some people are like, well, what classifies as being kids content and what classifies as not being kid content, because there are a lot of YouTubers online, like family friendly channels and stuff like that. Like there's Pokemon channels and stuff. The Shady Penguinn, I watched a video on him, or like when he was talking about it. The Shady Penguinn, he was talking about how basically come 2020 he might not have a channel because that's how he make his money, and his channel is basically family friendly, right? So there's a lot of controversy behind it. We kind of just wanted to talk about that, our thoughts on it, and yeah. So I'm actually gonna let my boy ShootingStar Sheriff actually jumpstart the conversation. So let us know what you think about it so
Oh
far.
man, this is an honor. I've jump started like the last two podcasts now. Uh, so yeah, basically it's been kind of more YouTubers have been talking about it within this past week or so, about really like the past like week or 2 weeks, about COPPA and the effects that it has on people. And I guess the way I feel about it is probably going to be the same way. Coming from a creator standpoint, it's I understand why it's there. It's the execution is just really damaging a lot of creators, or it will potentially hurt a lot of creators. Because the biggest thing about it, and to go into a little more detail from what Keon was speaking of, if you mark your kid, if you mark your content as for kids, you lose comments, you lose the notification bell, I think you only get like a like button, but you lose playlists, you lose basically everything that you normally the stuff that you use to normally promote your channel. You lose all of those features. You lose the community tab. You lose a lot of features, and 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 I and if even if you don't mark your stuff for kids, so let's say you mark your channel not for kids, and I'm just basically summarizing it. There are so many videos that go way into depth about it. There's actually a lawyer that made a video about about COPPA and the effects it would have on the platform. So by all means, guys, if you want to be better informed, uh, I I will I will give Keon some links so he can link them in the description below so you guys can be informed and make sure, and you guys can have your own opinion. But basically, they just want to protect children 13 and under from seeing things they're not supposed to on the internet. And that's basically what it comes down to. But the way the FTC is going about it is if you use a video, like what they generalize as for kids is super vague. It's if you have stories in your videos, that's marketed as for kids. If you gaming is for kids, so it doesn't even specify what specifically about gaming is for kids. It just says gaming can be marked as for kids.
Animation.
Animation,
There's
animation. If you,
Brad.
mm-hmm.
Let me see. No, well, oh, my bad, my bad. But there's a tech reviewer who basically reviews tech for creative professionals, um, and he sometimes has animation in his videos, and basically animation is one of those criteria for kids. But obviously, his videos aren't targeted towards kids. But I mean, he has animation in his videos, so he was talking about like because it's so vague, he doesn't want to take that risk of having those videos with animation in his videos anymore. Like he's probably going to take those down because of how vague the FTC is with that. Because if you basically get um, caught with that, or like they basically say, hey, you marketed this as not for kids, but this is clearly for kids, and there's going to be basically some algorithm that does it that's going to find it and does it right. You're gonna get fined $42,000, which is crazy. And this is like just regular creators, right? Like not everybody on YouTube is making millions and millions of dollars from their videos. So it doesn't matter how small or how big your channel is. If you violate this within their eyes, you're gonna get fined. Or well, you can potentially get fined. I don't think they're gonna like go straight for that if somebody violates it, but I mean they're I guess within their rights to do it if you violate it. You know what I mean? So so that's kind of another thing that's what is it crazy about the situation because of how vague it is basically.
Yes, yes. And just for people who are just now hearing about this for the first time, the COPPA Act is nothing that just sprung up overnight. The COPPA Act has been, if it hasn't ever been discussed to, it hasn't been, it was a very minor policy, but the COPPA Act has been an actual act for 20 years, so it's been around for a while. I mean, 20 years is a long time. I mean, but it has been here, and and normally this act only gets revised like every 5 or so years, every like 5 years or so. But because of all the because of this whole thing that happened with YouTube, uh, the FTC is going ahead and they're wanting to revise it and draft it now sooner rather than wait later, and basically the gist of it is that you know a lot of us content creators we try, like, the whole point of making a video is like you want people to watch it, so you start to learn these tactics and you start to learn these ways to, like, what makes videos appealing. And like, and I think it's funny too, because even as YouTubers, like, even as people who make content, we watch other people on YouTube as well. So like, everybody's constantly getting inspired and constantly finding new ways to do things. But the thing is, I mean, to kind of circle back to the point, it's they're gonna make it like, if this passes through and there's no revisions, or they don't specify, or they don't clarify this, then all it takes is them making an example out of one YouTuber. All it takes is them to find one YouTuber, slap that YouTuber with one, and that $42,000 fine isn't just like a fine for violating it once. That's for a violation per video. So if you're like Shady Penguinn, which I'm just gonna bring him up because he did talk about this in length. He makes family friendly content because that's his vision for his channel. He wants anybody and everybody to be able to watch his stuff. But because that's his vision of his channel, that's his artistic direction, that's his choice. But now his livelihood has to suffer for that, because he knows that at the end of this year he's got to mark his channel as for kids, because he knows he makes family friendly content, and that's what he's about, is making family friendly content, which is fine. But because that's the way he sees, he wants to put himself out there, he gets dinged for it. And he may not do YouTube. He stopped doing his Pokemon Let's Play on YouTube and switched over to playing Pokemon solely on Twitch, because of everything that's going on. And just to kind of let you guys know, this doesn't just apply to YouTube. This applies to everything on the internet. So this will affect Twitch. This will affect YouTube. This will affect, like, Google. This will affect every site. No, Tumblr's not a thing anymore. But this will, Reddit. Like, this will affect everything. So it's a big deal, because it can potentially affect how people create on the internet, and just be creative in general. And it's an issue, because not only the FTC isn't being clear, I know YouTube had to pay that huge amount of money for a settlement, but YouTube basically made a video and looked at the creators and just said, get a lawyer. Like, get a lawyer.
Which is some bullshit.
Like
Which is some bullshit. It was like, oh yeah, if you want to explain this anymore, like understand this anymore, get a lawyer, because we can't explain it to you. So YouTube is basically throwing its creators under the bus
yeah.
with this
and,
one.
and that's where the huge issue is, because I had a Sonic Mania playthrough that I did a few years back with my buddy Chad. And I don't know if we swore or whatever in that video. I don't know if we did, but it was separated out into like eight parts, 9 parts, or something like that. But we played Sonic and Mario are probably the two most child friendly things ever. But I've recently been debating, do I need to take down those playlists? Do I need to take down those videos? Because I don't want them to look at those videos. And they said they're doing sweeps starting January 1st, guys. We have up until the 9th, because they have a forum that's open that you can post and give your opinions about. You have up to December 9th. If I get that link, I'll also link that in the description below. Please be civil.
Yeah, I think the Shady Penguin put it under his video, so I'll just like go over there and get that link and then put it underneath. And there's also a petition you all can sign and everything like that if you want to be a part of the movement and basically help not kill creativity on the internet. Yeah, me personally, I didn't even know that it's basically internet wide. I thought it was just for YouTube. I didn't even know like it's gonna affect Twitch and everything else. I didn't know that part of it. I just knew about YouTube and how it's affecting the lives of big YouTubers that we all watch and enjoy. So like basically our favorite channels that do these let's plays and stuff like that and these family friendly content um, aren't going to be around anymore, or at least they won't be able to make a living doing what they love doing. So most likely they won't be around because they need to provide for their family, um, which is crazy. The Shady Penguin brought up something in his video, which I think is like I'm not sure, Um, well, anyway, this is what he said. He said something like he was talking with his buddy, and he was saying how like I would much rather my daughter get targeted for an ad of a toy that she searched once rather than like a beer ad or a condom ad or something like that, which makes sense. But again, I'm not sure how the FTC is going to go about doing this. Are they going to like just show random ads, or are they going to like show no ads whatsoever as far as like the kid friendly thing is concerned? Because again, like if you think about it, like when you search something up, basically Google's algorithm are like, okay, cool, they're interested in that. Let's show them more of that, so they'll be enticed to buy it. So we make more, so we make money off of the AdSense and stuff like that. And like if a kid searches a video game, then the kid should be advertised that video game. But I mean, if you can't do targeted ads anymore, then like what ads show up? You know what I mean? So they're not very clear about that either. Whether they're gonna stop completely with the ads, or is it gonna be just like random ads? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and about the ads too, I think it'll be very limited ads because basically what happens is if your channel becomes, and this is what, and I know we're picking a lot from Shady Penguin's video, but I mean, the only reason
I mean,
he,
that's the most recent one that I watched. The Shady Penguins video. I watched the lawyer's video, and and then I watched the Shady Penguins video, and I read some more stuff about it online. But the Shady Penguin is the most recent video that I personally watched, so that's kind of why I'm personally
no, no, no,
picking
no,
some
I
stuff
think
from his
it's really
video.
good because he is a family man, so he understands.
I feel like his channel kinda is one of the best channels to talk about in regards to this, because I mean he's a grown ass man, but he has like a family and everything, right? So and he's on YouTube making these videos to provide for his family, and he loves doing it. And come January, he may not be able to do that anymore, and it's simply because he decides not to curse in his videos. Like there's other pokey YouTubers and video game YouTubers who swear up and down in their videos who most likely won't get flagged for being kid friendly, but because the Shady Penguin decides he wants to make family friendly content where adults can watch it, kids can watch it, adults can watch it with their kids, that he's gonna be penalized
Yeah,
for it. And I think you and I were talking about this the other day. It basically goes against everything YouTube has been trying to do. When YouTube was like, okay, cool, if you curse in your videos, we're gonna demonetize you. Um, and now it's like, if you don't curse in your videos, we're gonna demonetize you.
but
So
you get to keep your
I
you get to
mean,
keep your channel.
exactly. So like, I mean, I'm not sure. Like YouTube should have, and a lot of creators are talking about this online, but YouTube should have like stood their ground more, or like at least they should have done something to help our creators. There definitely was a better way. Like I think Twitter um allows you to turn off targeted ads if you don't want them. So it's like maybe YouTube could have did that. Like gave the viewers the options to either turn off targeted ads or keep them on. You know what I mean? So I don't know. There has to be a better way than just throwing the creators under the bus and just like, okay, you have a month to figure this out, or you're gonna
Yeah,
get fined.
or spend a whole bunch of money and get a lawyer. Or I've heard some YouTubers get business insurance or a business liability insurance, which I bet you that isn't cheap either. So it's like all the alternatives are not cheap. Getting a lawyer is not cheap. Getting business liability insurance probably isn't cheap. I haven't looked into it, but it probably is that probably isn't cheap. The thing that's frustrating about this whole situation is that kids will still find a way to watch what they want to watch. When you sign up on YouTube, you can lie about your age. Like, I mean, you like, or even if they do update the way you sign up to the point where maybe it's not as easy to sign up on YouTube, all they're gonna do is watch it on their parents' accounts or whatever. So it's they act like the FTC thinks that there's not going to be a way to get around it when there will be ways that people will get around it. It's the internet. It's 2019, about to be 2020. There are ways to do things on the internet, and the FTC acts like that's not a thing. And the guidelines that they give us for kid friendly are super vague. They're not specific. They're not direct enough so creators can understand what type of content they can make versus what type of content they can't make. And it doesn't matter. It's one of those things where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You mark your stuff for kids, but you lose 90%. It's 85 or 90% of your ad revenue. You lose 80 to 90% of your revenue. Or you mark your stuff not for kids, but you're liable to get hit with a $42,000 fine. Now, I'm not saying the FTC is going to go crazy and start hitting everybody with a $42,000 fine, but all it takes is for them to make an example out of one person, and that will scare everybody. Because if they are enforcing it to how they say they are, who do you think they're going to go after first? They're going to go after the big YouTubers. They're going to go after like the Game Grumps, PewDiePie, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye. Like, they're going to go at maybe like some of the big vlogs. I mean, maybe they said if you use hard cuts in your video, that is child friendly.
Wait, what?
If you use hard cuts in your videos, that is considered child friendly. That's basically every vlogger ever. So that would even hit Casey Neistat, Sarah Dietschy. Like, I mean, it would affect everybody. But they'll make an example out of the bigger YouTubers first. The issue is that the FTC shouldn't have that much power over our creative freedom. I understand there needs to be guidelines put in place, and I understand that protecting children online is a big deal, and I understand the reason for that. But there has to be a way where YouTube can keep children protected online. Creators can still creators can still create the content that they want. At this point, I wouldn't care if YouTube just said, looked, and like the thing is they said, oh, you know your audience best. You know your audience better than we do. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's true. But if I mark my stuff not for kids and I look at my analytics, everybody who watches my videos are between 18 to 35. There are no kids coming to my channel, but you're gonna mark my videos for kids because the FTC said that they're gonna do sweeps starting on January 1st. Those sweeps will not be people watching your videos. That will be a bot watching your videos and deeming it whether it is for kids or not. Those will be bots sweeping through the website, marking your videos. It won't be people watching your videos. Because guess what? You can't hire enough people to watch all the videos on YouTube. It's impossible. So that's the scary part. The scary part is that you can pretty much just get hit for anything. People will lose creative freedom, and creators are not going to want to create anymore. And even if they do, creators are gonna have to go find jobs that aren't on the platform or it has nothing to do with the platform because I'm sorry, but if I get hit with a $42,000 fine, I'm that fucks my life over. That literally fucks my life over.
Yeah, that
That
fucks a lot of people's life over. Like that's life.
like
You know what I'm saying?
like like $42,000. Like come on. Even if you had a job that paid 50K, even if you made 50,000 or more a year, that's like half your year's earnings.
yeah, like the $42,000 fine is crazy. Like how? I mean, who came up with a $42,000 fine for YouTubers? You know what I mean? Like why be
It's
so
not even.
aggressive like that? You know what I'm saying? Like
And I understand also the side of that. They're not gonna come after a little small YouTuber or a small person.
I mean, you never
Never.
know.
You
You
never
never. I mean,
know.
like
Would that be a waste?
because yeah, I mean, like it's so vague with it. You know what I'm saying? As far
Yeah.
as
But the thing too is they're not gonna hit everybody. Like the thing is too is that's a waste of tax dollars too. And I can see political figures, and I don't like getting political, and I don't like talking about economy and stuff. But you're not going to hit every creator with a $42,000 fine, which one you know that they're not going to be able to pay, and two that's just a waste of tax money throwing fines left and right. So they're going to look to make an example out of somebody on the platform. But the thing is like I said, it only takes one. It only takes one, and that's why everyone is scared. I already know people that aren't YouTube. I already know like there are creators that are already like I don't want to upload videos anymore right now until this matter gets resolved. They clarify this better, or something different can be done. I wouldn't care right now if they just turned it off. If you're 13 or under and you sign up to YouTube, you just can't see anything that isn't meant for you. Like they just need to put a huge filter on it. If you are 13 or under, then you just can't. If they mark their channel as not for kids, I don't care if you take that audience away from me. Take them. I don't care. As long as I can keep doing what I'm doing. And I'm not saying that I don't care. I'm not saying I don't care about that audience. I mean, yeah, like it sucks for the kids, but at the same time, it's like creators have a living too. I rather lose a portion of my audience than lose my entire audience altogether. It's like so there's really no clear cut way of doing this.
yeah, what is it? Hydros on Twitter posted, "COPPA equals bad parenting."
And I mean, if you want to be completely honest in a nutshell, yeah, it's
Parents
because
should,
they
monitor what
don't
their kids watch on the internet, which most parents don't.
people need to monitor, and that's why this is a thing because you know we need it's we keep the government is the government shouldn't be in charge of. I mean, I understand protecting children's privacy online, that is important. That I understand that, but at the end of the day, who should be making sure what their kids are and are not on the internet? That's a parent's job. That is a parent's job first and foremost. So it sucks that it's at the point that it's at. Like I said, the links will be in the description below for the I think the FTC form, and there'll be some other videos so you can be fully informed on the situation. It's not. It's one of those things. It's not a fun thing to talk about. I've been thinking about it for a week or two, and at this point it's like everything else on YouTube that like we just have to roll with the punches. And I don't know. If nothing doesn't change, YouTube is about to look real different real quick. Come in the beginning of the new year, and I think that's really my thoughts on it.
I want to have a more positive, you know, be more positive about the situation and go the route where like, okay, cool. Like the community is gonna fight back. FTC is gonna see that. YouTube is gonna see that. They're never gonna let this roll over the way that it's looking like it's gonna roll over, and things are going to change come January. But I mean, with the situation, like you never really know. You know what I'm saying? But like every big, I guess, issue on YouTube, it always like kind of seems to work out itself. Like I mean, but at the same time, a lot of people's lives are, I guess, ruined within that process. You know, like Adpocalypse, a lot of people's YouTube. I mean, a lot of those people don't post anymore who got affected by that. You know, and then when the algorithm started to change, a lot of people switch up the way they post and stuff like that. So with this right here, even if it does roll over and then everything is fine and the whole situation isn't what it is now, still people's like YouTubes and lives are still affected by it, you know?
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, but anyway, that's that. If you have any opinions on COPPA, or if you have any more information, new information that can kind of help us better understand what it is, feel free down in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know. Let us know what you think, or if you have, like I said, any more information for us, or articles, or anything that can help anybody else out who might be watching this video. Um, Put it down in the comments below, and let's start the conversation about this. Uh, Hopefully, it doesn't go like it looks like it's going, and it doesn't ruin all of these people's lives and their livelihoods. I really hope, like I just, or maybe they just come out and be more like upfront and transparent with what exactly all of this stuff means, instead of saying, "Hey, go get a lawyer to look over this." Because I mean, the YouTube social media lawyer, when he read it and he was like, "I read this front to back, and I still can't even make sense of most of this stuff." And I'm a lawyer, you know. So I mean, if a lawyer who does this for a living, right? And I would assume he's a very good lawyer. But anyway, a lawyer who does this for a living, if he can't make sense of it, then I mean, who can? You know. So at least come out and be like more specific by what you mean, and allow people to figure it out on their own. Like basically say, here's the line, don't cross that line, and then allow people to adjust their content, um, to fit those needs, right? Instead of just like being so vague with it, to where a person who talks about tech for professionals can potentially get flagged for being kids friendly content because he has animation in his video and he doesn't curse. Which his videos aren't targeted towards kids, but because he has animation, there's a potential chance that he may get caught with that. I mean, that's bullshit. So hopefully, the community and YouTube and the FTC, we're all able to collectively figure this out, and it doesn't end up a shit show. But that's enough for that. We're gonna get into Google Stadia. So Google Stadia just dropped on the 19th of November, and me personally, I was one of the people who were very excited for this, and I was very positive about it and stuff like that. And Google Stadia comes out, and it just, it's a shit show. It flops. A lot of people aren't getting their codes to even sign up for Google Stadia. Like the Founders Edition, it was $130 Founders Edition. Lag is crazy. Like, well, there's mixed experiences. Some people aren't really showing that much input lag, and some people, the lag is atrocious. And the video game selection, which I was never really, which was never really an issue for me, because I mean, most video game consoles that have come out within the last decade have had a very small selection of video games. But in this case, the games that came out for Stadia are games that are already available on other platforms and are far more cheaper. Because with Google Stadia, you have to pay the full price for it. And also, if you know Google Stadia, you have to pay a monthly fee to have access to it. but it doesn't give you the full library, so you have to buy those games individually. And also, you don't actually buy those games; you buy access to those games, if that makes sense. So you don't have um, an actual downloaded game on your computer or your phone or whatever it might be, or the cloud or whatever. You basically just have access to stream that game from the Google servers. Um, yeah, people were playing Borderlands and stuff like that, and again, the lag is crazy. I know some people say the lag isn't as bad on their phone, but if they play it on the Chromecast or they play it on the Google Chrome browser, it's really bad. So just wanted to I guess kind of get your opinions on it. Have you been looking into that?
Yeah, I have looked into Google Stadia actually a fair bit because it was funny because because this also kind of because I looked more into it as I was looking as they like rolled out their other thing, especially on mobile devices. They rolled out the Google Play Pass,
Yeah,
and they rolled out the little Play Points system now that they have.
yeah,
Which I actually have a few points on that, but anyway, that's all besides the point.
yeah.
Um,
We're not talking about how much money you spent on Dokkan.
uh, well, let's not let's that's a whole no. That's a that could be a nerd shit episode in itself. Like, let's not talk
Nerd
about.
shit episode 8 next week. Tune in. How much money does Shooting Star Sheriff spend on Dokkan
Actually,
in
surprisingly,
mobile games?
I thought it was just Dokkan. I would be like, you know what? Surprisingly, this year I haven't spent a lot.
Mobile games as a whole. Let's go down your history, and we're gonna
No,
talk
let's
about each experience. For
no 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 no
I
no.
spent this much money on this on these coins, and I didn't get what I wanted, so I spent some more, and I still didn't get what I wanted, so I said fuck it, and I deleted the game for a week, and I downloaded it again, and then I bought some more coins, and it shafted me again.
Let's not. Let's not. But
That's not gonna be a good conversation.
no, but honestly, I think a lot of this Google Stadia, like a lot of the stuff that's a lot of the stuff that's going on with Google Stadia is I feel like it's like any other new service. Well, maybe not Disney Plus because Disney Plus just rolled out, and everyone's loving Disney Plus.
The
But
Mandalorian.
any, shush. Anyway, shush. We'll talk about Disney Plus on a later date. But
Oh, actually, that'll be a good podcast topic. You know what? Episode 8. We're calling it right now. We're gonna discuss Disney Plus. We're actually gonna go down memory lane on Disney Plus and talk about all of our favorite Disney shows we watched as a kid and our experience with watching them now. Kind of like what you and your boy Taylor did on Is It Still Hype? Let's do something like that in episode 8. That's episode
oh,
8. Cool.
all right.
We're gonna
Uh,
the entire episode. We're not gonna talk about anything else but Disney Plus.
all right. That's fine with me because they put Darkwing Duck on there, so I'm ready to
Oh,
nerd out. But anyway,
let's do it. Let's do it.
look at us making up, coming up with stuff on the fly. But anyway, before people be like, why are y'all talking about this? But I think a lot of what Google Stadia is going through is just it's with any other streaming service. It's just the hiccups, man. It's just got a bad launch. Server, they didn't, maybe they didn't allocate enough server space, and they're still trying to get the ball rolling with Google Stadia so it can become a pretty nice service. But it just started. I think it's just few hiccups, few bumps in a road. I feel like if you're not sold on Google Stadia now, wait like 5 months. Wait a few months. Give it a few months down the road. Like let's have this same conversation again in like April of next year, and I feel like it'll
Gonna
be
be
night.
our third episode on Google Stadia.
I know, right? But I think it's just a little bit of the hiccups now. Does it suck
Oh,
that
wait. One for the one time before you just for the meta of the podcast. Spider-Man.
Spider Man?
Just for the meta of the podcast, Spider-Man.
Just say Spider Man.
If you've been watching all of the podcasts, except for I think our last episode, you know what it
We talk
is.
we talk about Spider. We love Spider-Man.
Spider-Man makes an appearance in almost every episode.
He
we,
really
we we
does.
have to bring up Spider-Man, but
Whether he's related or not, he just has to come up.
yeah, just one time for the meta of the podcast. But yeah, I'm gonna let you finish. But
No, you're good. Now does it suck that because you would think Google Stadia with having like the conglomerate powerhouse that is Google, you think their day one launch should have been a little bit better? Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, if you wanna keep it real, then yeah, it should have been better. It should have been a way better launch. Um, I think it is a missed opportunity. They kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but at the same time, like they have to build it up to get to where they want it to be. So I'm gonna say it just needs a little time. But how do you feel about it? Because I know you were really excited about it. So I want to just hear how you feel.
oh yeah, I was really excited about it because basically what Google Stadia promised, which I think eventually if they don't exit and they continue with it'll eventually get there. But basically, I mean, you can play AAA games on your phone on your. I have an iPad. I have an iPad, and I'm able to connect my PlayStation 4 controller to it via Bluetooth, which would have been dope to like be at a coffee shop or be at the airport or something like that, playing Borderlands 3 or playing Assassin's Creed or something like that. So you're able to play all these AAA games basically on any hardware without any lag or latency. Um, and again, I was very excited about that because I love Dragon Ball Fighters. I mean, if you watch the channel, you already know. So my goal is to be able to bring Dragon Ball Fighters with me wherever I go and be able to play it. And I can kind of do that right now with connecting my PlayStation 4 to my PlayStation app, but sometimes it doesn't work out. And I was kind of looking at Google Stadia for something like that. Eventually, if they bring Dragon Ball Fighters to it, but I mean, that's neither here nor there right now. But um, I was in somebody's comments like a week ago, and they were just like talking so much trash about Google Stadia, and I was a little hurt. I was like, "Yo, let's be more positive about it, and like, and let's not try to judge the Google Stadia before it even comes out. Let's wait until it comes out before we actually judge it." And I know it only has like 13 games right now, but just like any other software or hardware launch, like the Switch only had like 5 games at launch. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Eventually the Switch got so many more games, and everybody loves the Switch now, right? So let's kind of look at it like that, and let's not talk too much trash about it or whatever, and let's not talk too much trash about the lag or whatever because it hasn't hit the market yet, which technically it still hasn't hit the market fully because right now it's just a founders edition and it's kind of like a beta technically, because it's officially going to be released to everybody who hasn't purchased the founders edition next year around like January February I believe. But yeah, so I was just like, yeah, let's wait till it comes out before we judge it. And everything the person said was basically correct. you know the game came out, and for some people it's barely playable, um, and for some people, and a lot of people, well, everybody actually are coming up with like, why would you play Google Stadia when we have so many other hardwares that play the games much better, and the video games are much cheaper. And I mean, like, I agree with that. Why would I spend the money for Borderlands when I already got Borderlands on my PlayStation 4? And we were talking about this on our first time we were talking on our first podcast about Google Stadia, where we think this is more for people who don't have those systems. You know?
Yeah, or yeah, and like for people who like, they don't want to shell out, because you got to think about it too, man. Because it, I think what the end of next year, I think it's by the end of next year, by the end of 2020, we're gonna be getting, we're gonna get more information, or well, at least by E3 of next year, we'll get more information on the PS5, and there's gonna be more new consoles coming out, so people are already like, man, like that's here we are shelling out another few $100 for a new system, and
Yeah.
people don't want to do that anymore. Especially or like the thing is like the trend of like buying a spending hundreds of dollars on a new console and then buying $60 games is like it's kind of like that. That's kind of getting old, and I think a lot of developers are starting to see that because a lot of developers now like a lot of games, like depending on the hype of the game and depending on what the game is, like a lot of people wait on sales now for games, especially if you're me and you wait for those digital sales.
Oh
I
yeah.
know. Oh yeah, like Borderlands 3 is like $40 right now with the Black Friday sales, but let's not get into that.
Yo, you need to cop that so we can get on Borderlands 3.
I know. I still gotta
Yeah.
finish the Handsome collection, but anyway, let's not
I
get
mean,
into that.
okay, okay, yeah, we don't have to get into that. But what I was gonna say is like I'm still optimistic about it because I mean, like you were saying, it's just a rocky launch and it's Google. So if anybody can do it, Google can do it. So I would think in the next couple months or something like that, they'll flesh out that and fix those bugs and stuff like that and make latency less and basically deliver on their promises. But right now they're still missing a bunch of features too, so basically like I think you can't invite somebody to play with you who hasn't already purchased the subscription, which was like was a feature that they were supposed to add anyway. Like so basically you can invite anybody to it. As long as you have a subscription, your family or friends will be able to play, but now everybody has to buy that subscription. Also, if you're streaming on, YouTube or whatever, playing a game, you can't actually people can't actually like I guess join you or something like that. I'll input a video from Young Gia who talks more about it. Which was one of the videos that I've been watching on it. Young Gia he discusses in depth all of these controversial controversial issues and stuff like that regarding video games. So I'll put his video down. Who better explains it than I can? But yeah, so a lot of features are missing, which again I'm still going to be optimistic about it because I want it to succeed. I haven't purchased the Founders Edition, and I'm not. I mean, no matter no matter how optimistic about it I am, no matter how positive I am about it, no matter how much I want it to work, I'm not purchasing the Founders Edition to anything that hasn't been fully tested. You know what I mean?
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, I
like
understand you.
I'm not throwing out $130 just to be like I was the first to get Google Stadia, and it's not all that hype, but I mean at least I got a cool controller. You know, I'll wait until next year until like the hard launch of it to where it's available to everybody. And I already got a Google Chromecast, so I'll just use my Google Chromecast or my Chrome browser to play it to see how it is or whatever. I'll get the subscription service, and I'll see how it is. But as somebody who wants it to succeed, I think just like everything we've been talking about lately, I think it comes down to the creators or developers or whatever just releasing it too early. You know what I mean? Like I think that's been like the general theme for a lot of things that we've been talking about on the podcast that have been coming out lately. Like Google just released it too early. I mean, it's simple as that. They didn't have all of their ducks in a row. They wanted to get it out to let everybody see what Google has to offer, which I mean, they kind of dropped the ball because they're making a fool of themselves now, and now everybody's pissed off because people who've paid that 130 aren't getting their equipment. And Google is like, okay, well, you'll get it 3 to 5 days after your equipment ships. And it's like, well, why did I pre-order it to get it on day one if I'm not going to get it on day
On
one?
day one, yeah,
You know, which I
yeah.
mean, you and I have our opinions about pre-ordering things. So, I
I
mean,
don't, I don't do it.
yeah, but I mean, like, so again, I just feel like they just released it too early. Next year, I do believe Google Stadia is going to be. Well, I already know Google Stadia is going to be a lot better than it is now, but I feel like it's going to be something to contend with once they figure out what they want to do. Because I like this whole subscription service thing where you don't actually get access to all of the games. You just you have to still purchase games in full price thing doesn't sit well with me, and it doesn't sit well with a lot of people. So I think Google is going to see that, and they're going to probably take more of a Apple Arcade style, or a PlayStation, what the PlayStation, not PlayStation View, but the subscription service with PlayStation Now. They're going to take a PlayStation Now approach to it, where you pay $20 a month and you get access to all of the games, and you don't have to actually purchase them, and you can still download them to your system. So I think once Google figures all of that out, it's going to be a whole lot better. And I do believe they're going to change their subscription model and just their whole model, their business model of the service. So I think we should just give it some time. Right now, it's bad. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna make any excuses for Google. Like, it's bad. A company as big as Google dropping a ball like this on something as big as this, um, again, it's just bad. But it is what it is. It'll get better, hopefully. Hopefully, I'm right about this. But yeah, do you have any more opinions on that? If not, then we can wrap.
No, man, I'm good. Let's go ahead and send these suckers.
All right, all right. Thank you all so much again for tuning into another episode of the podcast Nerd Shit. If you do have any opinions on anything we've talked about, again, if you're watching this on YouTube, down in the comments below, let us know what you think. How do you feel about COPPA? How do you feel about Google Stadia? Do you think it's going to be good in the future, or do you think Google is going to put an X in this, like they do a lot of their failed like products and ventures and stuff like that? Because I think there's a whole there's a whole thread online that basically has a bunch of like failed Google products that they just kind of like swept under the bus without talking about anymore. So do you think this is going to be one of those things where Google's like, okay, cool, we failed in the gaming market, we're just gonna quit and we're not gonna try to make it better? Or do you think they're going to actually try to fix this? Because gaming obviously is something very big, and I mean, YouTube gaming is a thing. Google owns YouTube. I would think that they would want to make this a lot better, so they can actually start signing people to Google Stadia gaming or whatever, like streamers and stuff like that. You know how Facebook is buying, well, not buying gamers, but signing gamers to Facebook streaming and stuff like that, and then the other streaming services are doing the same thing. What's the one where Ninja's on now?
Oh, I don't know the name of that. I know
Anyway,
what you're talking about. Yeah.
my little brother knows. Ninja used to be on Twitch, and then some other streaming service bought him out with the contract. And I would assume Google wants to do stuff like that too, because that's where the money is. But I mean, you never know, right? But anyway, if you have any opinions on that, down in the comments below, let us know. If you're listening to this on any other podcast service, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, you can tweet at us, Nerd Shit Daily. But other than that, this has been your boy Key with Shooting Star Sheriff. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we are out.
Later, guys. Have a good one.